Hello everybody and welcome to another Future Card Spotlight. I'm excited to talk about the new card, Fynn the Fangbearer. That's right, we are talking about a 2-mana 1/3 deathouch creature. What you're going to get is whenever a creature you control with deathouch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. If you're not too familiar with poison counters, basically once you give a player 10 poison counters, they lose the game. So what does that mean with this card? That means normally you got to deal 20 damage to your opponent. Or, previously you have to deal 10 poison counters to them. Maybe with infect or other ways. Dealing 10 damage to them that way. But with this card in play, you simply need to deal 5 creatures need to deal damage to them that have deathouch with this in play. And you've won the game. That's right. You just need to get in 5 attacks for damage, 5 different creatures, including itself, and you've won the game. So that's how you want to build the deck around. It's best suited for a green-black deck. It's got a ton of deathouch creatures, as we will see. So today I'm going to talk about, all the creatures currently in Standard you can use to help you build this deck. And I'm going to show you a few Kaldheim cards to help as well. And at the end, I'm going to show you, pseudo deck list of current standard cards that you could use to make this deck. So Fynn the Fangbearer, it's great that it has Deathouch itself, 1/3. Most Deathouch creatures have low power, higher toughness. So it allows them to block and survive against certain matchups. You're going to win the 2/2 matchup, 2/3 matchup, stuff like that. So, basically, if you play this on turn 2, you've already played a deathouch creature on turn 1. You can instantly get in for your first 2 points, for your first 2 poison counters. You have to remember as well, it's different than infect, is that you're also dealing the damage to the player as well. So, it's kind of a backup plan, start dealing some damage. But really, you want to kill them with 10 poison counters. That's the way to go. So, a couple other friends in Kaldheim to help us out. So, of course, you got Egon, God of Death, 6/6 Deathouch. A couple ways you can get creatures into your graveyard, make it a viable creature to have out. The flip side, if it dies, you should draw a card. You can also cast it for its throne side to make yourself mill your creatures into your deck. And then use spells like, Call of the Death Dweller, to get those deathouch creatures on the battlefield. So it works out either way. Another one is Varagos, the Bloodsky Sire. 2/3 deathouch for 2 and a black. Allows you to tutor for Fynn the Fangbearer when it attacks. So you can start getting that into your hand if you don't draw it. So another great way to get that card and put it on the battlefield. But let's start talking about what's available currently in Standard to help you with this Fynn Deathouch deck. So I've limited it to Standard, typed in the word Deathouch. That's what we're looking for. I don't think we want to have any spells or anything that add Deathouch to a creature. We want every creature to stand on its own with Deathouch and not need that. So a great 1-drop slot for Deathouch, Foulmire Knight. Gives you the option later in the game to draw a card and play it as well. I think this is, a must 4 of in the deck. You want to try and get that 1-drop out to start dealing those poison counters. Another spell that pumps up Deathouch, you don't want that. Thieves Guild Enforcer, it's great at milling your opponent. This deck you kind of want to mill yourself. And it could be a while till it gets Deathouch. I don't think that we want to play that. Black Knight Paragon can get Deathouch as an instant to maybe like block and stuff, but not attack and deal combat damage, so don't think it's one that we really want to play. Boot Nibber, you can make a 2/1 Deathouch, which isn't bad. But I think there's a few better 2-drop creatures to have in the deck, as we will see. Skulker, you need to have another rogue, which could be a possibility, but not all your Deathtouch creatures are going to be rogue. This one is good. It's got flying, it's got evasion, helps a little, but you do need to spend that mana to give it Deathtouch. A great fit for the deck, Mire Trident. Mills cards into your yard so you can bring them back. You gain 2 life. You get that 2/1 Deathtouch for 2 mana, so I think this would be a great addition to the deck. Call of the Death Dweller is great for the deck just because you have a lot of 1 and 2 drops to bring them back. Plus what you can do is at that point give them Menace. Give one of them Menace to make it harder for your opponent to block them, therefore getting in from a Deathtouch damage. Grim Dancer is an interesting one just for the same kind of reason we talked about. You can give this Deathtouch and Menace, giving it some evasion, better chance to get through for damage. A great 3-drop in the deck. Hooded Blightfang. It's a 1/4 Deathtouch, really high toughness. Plus, whenever a creature you control with Deathtouch attacks, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And then it makes it a lot easier to kill planeswalkers as well. So it's a great secondary plan for your deck. It's having a bunch of Deathtouch creatures attacking in, draining them for 1 life every time that happens. So definitely want to see this in the deck. Hunted Nightmare, you're kind of giving your opponent Deathtouch, not you. Nighthawk Scavenger is a great Deathtouch creature to have in your deck. It can grow throughout the game. You get lifelink. It's also got evasion with flying. So you can definitely see this in the 3-drop slot. Stinger, you kind of need another rogue, so not what we're looking for. Hemophagus has got Deathtouch, but for 4 mana, I don't really want to play it. Even if we can mutate it, it's kind of not the strategy that we're going for. Hierophant depends on how big you want to go into the mill strategy in yourself. But 4 mana for a 3/3 Deathtouch, a little expensive. Obviously, 8 mana Space Godzilla, very expensive, and you don't need to cycle to give something a Deathtouch counter because everything you have already has it. So we have another 1-drop. Obviously not as good as Foulmire Knight, but we do need those extra 1-drops for Deathtouch. So pick your poison. Viper, Blade, doesn't really matter. Adversary might be good if in sideboard if you're playing against a green opponent. You know, Dilophosaur, it's going to be 2/2 for 4 mana, a little expensive. Now this is a card you want in your deck. Questing Beast has always been good. This deck gets even better. Get your 4/4, get your haste, you can block, you can attack with it. It's hard to block. Kills planeswalkers. And it's going to come out of nowhere, so your opponent's not going to expect it. These multicolored cards have kind of white and red, so kind of hard to put in the deck that we're playing with. So, Shovel Bane of Monsters is a great 2-drop creature that you want to have. It's 1/3 Deathtouch, and then during your upkeep you can start putting bounty counters on creatures. Makes it even harder for them to block, knowing that you're going to gain life and draw a card. So, just makes it kind of put your opponent in a really tough decision on if they want to start blocking your creatures. A little Provocateur, a little white, little blue. Can't play that. You know, Nethroi, Apictetus, or good old Biollante, Plant Beast form. You can't put it in the deck, you can mutate it. Might be good out of the sideboard if a deck with a lot of removal. Mutating this onto like a 1-drop, bringing back all your Deathtouch creatures. Might need to find a way playing maybe some Triomes or something to get white. as a mana color, but not too hard. It's possible. Don't really need to play an equipment to give something Deathtouch. We already have that. And ignore me. I assume the card. No, it's against Deathtouch creatures. So hope your opponent's not playing this. Mecha Godzilla can get Deathtouch, but it's like a 1 in 8 chance. So don't really want to play that. So let's have a look at kind of quick deck I put together. So you got your Fangbearer Knights. This, of course, is not including any of the wonderful new cards that we talked about from Kaldheim that we're focusing this deck around, but kind of give you an idea. So Fangbearer Knight, Blight Blades, your Mire Trident and Shovels in the 2-drop. 3-drop, you got your Dust Dweller, but you got your Blight Fangs, Scavenger, Bring Stuff Back, Awakening, and you got your Questing Beast, right? So, sprinkling some removal to help you out as well, to make sure your creatures get through, and this deck has a good possibility of turning out pretty well. So, I'm very excited to build around the brand new card, Fynn the Fangbearer, and thank you for watching another Future Card Spotlight. See you next time.